For Rangers, they hope tonight, then the first Old Firm meeting of the season at Celtic on Saturday, and then they hope, as I say, away again next week to the winners of Hamilton against Hearts in a Skull Cup quarter-final. But to earn that, they have to do the business here at Firhill. Rangers to kick off, defending the goal to the right in the first half, and Partick Th certain to go in and challenge for everything, and as John Lambie said earlier, to try to take the game to Rangers if they can. Attack is the philosophy. They've made a good start in Scotland's first division, the division below the Premier League, and indeed have won their last 4 matches without conceding a goal. Peter Houstra, who's got a good chance now to establish himself at the departure of Mark Walters. It's Graham Robertson examining Andy Gorham early on, and Gorham coming through that test with flying colours. Simon Stainrod, that's just what you want to see your goalkeeper do in circumstances like this.
Well, that's going to give their defence tremendous confidence. See Gorham coming out and taking that. That's a fine piece of goalkeeping.
Spencer just guiding it off to Houstra. And a handball spotted by Jules Smith, quickly taken free kick by Duffy. Sammy Johnston laying it wide to Shaw, who will operate wide on the right of 4 in midfield. Robertson the right back. And Flashen and McWalter the 2 strikers. Walter. Robertson trying to turn the cross in. Houstra in the way, the solid figure of Gordon Ray. Here's McCall, Gary Stevens at right back for Rangers. Durant going down the touchline and offering his support to Stevens. Here's Nisbet. Nigel Spackman wearing 5. But Rangers already quite clearly have 2 problems. The tigerish tackling of Thistle and the length of the grass that we've spoken about, deliberately kept long by the ground staff here. And it's not going to suit initially the passing game. And a lecture for Sammy Johnston.
It's just a late clumsy tackle, that's all. I don't think there was any animosity in that.
Maurice Johnston. Spackman first to this one. David Robertson, whose fee was ruled by a tribunal to be almost £1 million from Aberdeen. Houstra going on. Maurice Johnston. Was a reasonable chance. Mo Johnston, who left here for Watford to start his wandering around the highways and byways of the footballing world. Led off by Durant. Gary Stevens, who started the season so well and will hope to be in the England squad for the forthcoming international against Germany. A match that you can see live here on Sky Sports. Goff. Nisbet, his central defensive partner. And Jim Duffy, who was voted back in the mid-80s Scotland's Players' Player of the Year, a great honour when he was with Morton. He's a footballer of high calibre. Rangers have plenty of those as well, but 2 of them, Goff and Nisbet, almost confusing each other then. Gorham hasn't quite got his geometry right of this particular ground as he kicks the ball straight out of play. He wasn't best pleased with that. It really is going to be tigerish in midfield on a very pleasant evening weather-wise. Nisbet takes the free kick. That's by McLaughlin for Thistle. It's the third round of the Skull Cup, the League Cup competition in Scotland. Well, little Spencer, not likely to win in the air, but he has other qualities. A bubbly character. Spackman. Helped out by Stevens. Spencer turns well, but the ball runs away from him and is collected by Duffy, who waves his teammates forward, McWalter in particular. David Robertson. Well, it was a clever dummy by Johnston, but Duffy had spotted it. Shaw forced infield and not getting very far. Here's McGlashan. And Barningham looking to make his mark.
It's a good piece of football, actually. Barningham comes onto the ball and takes his chance quite well, but didn't bother Gorham too much.
This is Irons. He plays wide on the left, but Partick Thistle on that occasion getting it wrong in midfield, and Rangers not able to take advantage of it. Simon, you've had plenty of moves. Ray Farningham, it's a quick switch of colours. Well, he seems to have settled in quite quickly.
Well, he's settling quickly. I mean, the pace of the game you're bound to, really. I mean, you're bound to be involved. I mean, it's very frenetic.
And a little foolish from John Spencer in a season where deliberate handball is going to be under scrutiny. It was McCall's pass. What have they said to you at Falkirk about handball this season?
Well, if we do make any stupid handballs, then we're fine for it. And I mean, apart from that, the referees take care of it. I mean, we quite often get bookings, and anything which threatens the goal, it's an immediate sending off, so you have to be very careful.
George Smith taking a sympathetic view to John Spencer a moment or two ago. Andy Gorham very much at this stage of his career Scotland's #1 goalkeeper as well. Here's Houston, the Dutchman, trying to get away from Graham Robertson, not quite getting his bearings right with Johnston. Well, the ball didn't actually go into the Rangers' half, but McWalter had gone offside. McGlashan was in his own territory and clearly in a legitimate position. Spackman. Partick Thistle here, trying to bridge a considerable gap in league status, and with the greatest respect for their own players in quality as well. But this is the raw appeal of cup tie football. Thistle taking on the holders of the Skull Cup and making a good fist of it at this stage. And Gorham called in again by Johnston, Sammy Johnston.
Well, it's good football, actually. As the ball's played in, he just gets a quick snapshot off there. Well covered again by Gorham. I don't think shots like that are going to trouble Gorham tonight.
Back from McLaughlin. Put out by Nisbet. Here's David Irons, played plenty of Premier League football earlier in his career. has Mark McWalter, but he can't force a corner. David Murray, the Rangers chairman, is sitting down in the dugout. Coming up to 10 minutes gone. And at Firhill, it's Partick Thistle 0, Rangers 0. Goff. Now Nisbet. David Robertson from left back trying to supply some movement here. There's a little static elsewhere. Spencer. Duffy close to him, but Spencer almost threading it inside Robertson. Tenacious enough to get the ball back for Rangers. For Jim Duffy, whose career was almost ended by injury a few years ago, he took the insurance money and then happily, from his point of view, had to pay it back because his damaged right knee responded to treatment. He's a wonderful story, really. And he's marshalling his side, player coach, convincingly so far. A header from Nisbet. Duffy beating Spencer. On from Johnston. Farningham, his ally in the centre of midfield. Bit of tugging there on Houstra, and Robertson trying to play it safe, but Simon, I must say, it doesn't look a passing pitch by any means.
No, as I said before, I think the long grass is it's probably a little bit of a tactic on Partick's part, and he's certainly holding their passing game back.
Tongue-in-cheek, they were saying, well, it's a new pitch and you have to let the grass grow, but I think if you ask them straight up, they'd realise, they'd admit to the fact that it is a tactic to try and stop Rangers settling for the style of football that absolutely demolished Dunfermline at Ibrox on a really pure surface on Saturday. Jim Lambie has spoken to Ian Munro, the Dunfermline manager, about any lessons learned from that could be put into practice tonight. And Nisbet is surely going to be singled out here.
I don't think this season there's any doubt if a player gets brought down like that on way to goal, he's going to get booked. Quite rightly so, really. I mean, the boy was by him.
So, a yellow card for Rangers. Could it lead to a chance here for Partick Thistle? 13 minutes played. 0-0 at Firhill. Gordon Ray's well forward. McLaughlin, who really has got a strong left foot. We might see a shot or two from him at goal from the 25-30 yard mark as the game develops. Couldn't quite operate the free kick as Thistle would have required then. Here he is. Had a few games for Celtic in the first team last season. Robertson, his opposite number tonight. Here's Gordon Ray, pressed by Houstra, giving the ball to Mo Johnston. It hits Duffy, but there was an offside. Gordon Ray, Simon, somebody you know pretty well.
Well, he's quite a close neighbour of mine, and both members at the same golf club. So, and apart from that, I played against him about 5 times last season, and I think I'm still wearing his shirt.
I think he hits the golf ball a fair way, looking at the upper body there.
He hits anything a long way, including centre forwards.
I'm sure you stood your ground. Here's Gary Stevens. Johnston wanting the ball played short to feet, but it's not coming. Rangers in the end lofting it through Nisbet. Met by McLaughlin. Nisbet can try again. He's got help from Richard Goff. Nisbet confident on the ball. And here's Goff. Rangers must feel that if they can grab a goal here, it would take some of the early fight out of Thistle. Recall, it's lovely football this. Robertson seemed a little unsure as what was best to do. In there, supporting the strikers. And the most promising position for Rangers has ended rather tamely. It's a goal kick. Partick Thistle came through their second round tie at the expense of Albion Rovers. 2-0. That's a push by Walter. I spoke to Walter Smith, the Rangers manager, this morning about possibly one player who might cause them a problem. He mentioned Mark McWalter through the pace that he has. But we haven't seen any real flash of it so far. McWalter, the number 10 for Partick Thistle. Duffy again reading the game superbly. McLaughlin, George Smith once more quick to give the free kick. Although Partick had retained possession, Harry Stevens was in just too rudely for the referee's liking. Well, the realist will tell you that this should be Rangers' night in a straightforward fashion. Looking down from our commentary position at the mass ranks of the Partick followers, I'm sure you get a different opinion down there. Hope springs eternal, and so far, with just over 15 minutes gone, Thistle giving a good account of themselves, and Rangers haven't really settled. Here's Shaw. Farningham going ahead of him. And a combination of Robertson and Goff doing the tackling to give Partick Thistle the throw. Robertson, made back to him by McGlashan. Past his tackle. Rangers really have made this particular competition their own over the past 5 years. Reaching the final every one of those years. Not a problem here though. Cleared away by Goff. McLaughlin with that left foot I was talking about a minute or two ago. It's a low tackle by Farningham.
Farningham very late there, very late.
Away by McLaughlin, and then McGlashan forward this time. Partick Thistle have won this trophy, a famous victory at that, almost 20 years ago now, and they trounced Celtic 4-1. Got a page or two of its own in the history of this competition. Spencer taking on Duffy. Brought out by Irons. He gives nice balance on the left. Now McWalter trying to get up ahead of steam, but he showed too much of the ball to Nisbet. Kept in by Robertson. David Robertson that was, but only straight to Graham Robertson, no relation. Got a Robertson on each side, a Johnston on each side. Spencer is onside. Durant getting into the centre. Mo Johnston's there as well, and both of the supporting players were angry with Spencer then, who wasted a very promising position. The picture told the story, but Andy Murdoch did his part for Partick Thistle, but it just seemed that the options were there for Spencer. Halstra, again Duffy, with a timely contribution, but Houster can get it back again. Duffy once more. McCall. Well, Spencer given plenty of time to shoot. Partick Thistle really for the first time very slow to close down an opponent's.
Spencer, very unlucky really. Should have got it on target though, yeah.
Header from Nisbet. Spencer chasing. Gordon McQueen in our studio, how do you feel the match is developing so far?
Well, I think I may have underestimated Partick Thistle a little bit because they've started the game very brightly, and tactically I think they've got it right. They're pushing the two wide men out onto Robertson and Gary Stevens, and leaving Scott Nisbet and Richard Goff with the ball, and they're really not getting anywhere with that. But John Lamblin must be delighted with the start. They're defending well and looking bright up front as well.
Stevens. Here's McLaughlin. Walter showing, and McGlashan is there as well. Irons. Well, he took some stopping. Shaw coming into the centre and trying to sneak in on the blind side. In fact, the cross from Colin McGlashan was too close to Andy Gorham. Header from Ray. And Walter was judged there to have challenged unfairly. It's the type of decision that does frustrate forwards. And Duffy has been very influential, keeping Rangers at bay. Irons, and a 4 up for Partick here. David Irons on the ball. And here's a Farningham. Well, there were real possibilities there. They'd outnumbered Rangers, Simon.
Well, they pushed forward very quickly there. A good ball from David Irons. Farningham again getting the shot in. Good effort, but maybe should have hit the target, I think.
Ray meeting it solidly. Walter Smith we saw looking anxious down on the Rangers bench, and David Livingston, our reporter, is down there. David, what's the atmosphere like?
Well, Martin, Walter has come down, as you say, looking anxious. David Dodds has been shouting continuously at Maurice Johnston and John Spencer to maintain contact with midfield and prevent that gap opening up, and obviously Walter has come down to reinforce that.
Robertson stopped, as Gordon McQueen was saying, by George Shaw, and it's with Goff and Nisbet with the ball and with the onus to try and create the momentum for Rangers in an attacking sense. Here's Durant. So good to see him back. McLaughlin above Mo Johnston, who was pushing in any case. But on the subject of Ian Durant, I think Rangers feel that we shouldn't expect too much too soon. They, of course, feel he's fit enough to be playing at this level of the game. But his injury was of the most serious kind. But look at him now, breaking forward with Mo Johnston outside him. He might reach it. But who was there? It was Duffy again.
Great break again from Durant here. He plays a good ball to Maurice Johnston and just holds up on the grass, and Jim Duffy does well to get across and force it away for a corner.
A corner to Rangers. Just over 20 minutes to go to half-time. That was Mark McWalton meeting it, but not clearing it. Robertson heads it back. Here's Ian Durrant. And again. Halstra. A flick from Maurice Johnston, David Robertson, and well saved by Murdoch.
Very good skill here. Takes the ball on the chest, Robertson. Flashes the shot across goal. It's a tremendous save from Murdoch. Great save.
Rangers try again with another corner. Halstra, who crossed in the first place. It's a terrifically aware flick by Mo Johnston to set up that chance, which I'm sure, Simon, you appreciated, the sort of thing that you do naturally.
Well, it was a great flick from Mo, but I thought the control from Robertson and the shot, for a fullback, I mean, that shows great potential.
So Andy Murdoch, only 23, lost more than £100,000 from Celtic, and showing his value. He's previously been here on loan on a couple of occasions. Barningham. Here's Irons. McLaughlin involving himself. McGlashan. Well cut out by Paul McLaughlin. There really is a sense of ambition about Partick Thistle these days. Obviously gearing it all, hoping that John Lambie can steer the team to the Premier League next season. Offside against McWalter. But the board have given the manager money to invest on the playing side. The new floodlights are up. Of a very high quality. That's handball by Stuart McCall. Free kick taken quickly. Sammy Johnston in too much of a hurry. Halstra. He can't get very far. Shaw. Graham Robertson. That's a sweet turn from McGlashan. Rangers recognise the threat. It isn't easy to weight those sort of passes on this surface. But both sides looking to pass the ball and play rather than just hit it and hope. And to some extent it's making it difficult with this well-grassed pitch for Partick Thistle as well. But there are more pluses for them than there are for Rangers. David Robertson, who was in the last side to beat Rangers in a Skull Cup tie. That was the final itself a couple of years ago. Aberdeen, of course. Spackman. Spencer, it's a fine leap for a little fellow. And for once, Duffy couldn't defuse the situation.
Spackman won the ball there very well. Very well indeed. Great ball in and a great leap from Spencer. The goalkeeper covered it easily.
And Nisbet just stopping McGlashan, and you could hear the roar forming in the throats of the Partick partisan. And I thought McGlashan, their leading scorer, might be in for another chance. Duffy in the way again. I remind you that although Partick Thistle lost on the opening day of the season away to Morton, they haven't conceded a goal since in 4 games. 4 games and almost half an hour. Spencer. John Spencer being given the opportunity by Walter Smith, rather than just coming in as a stand-in, to really stake a claim, while Mark Hateley's had this shoulder problem. It's going to be a long throw from Gary Stevens. Appeals that the 2 Partick players who went for the ball together kind of confused each other sufficiently for a hand to be used, but George Smith saw nothing wrong. Back to Gorham from Halstra. Irons. Laid back by Walter. Offside. Barningham had gone, you could say too soon, but in fact the ball possibly from his point of view came a bit late. It was an imaginative break from Ray Barningham. Rangers didn't expect an easy ride here, and that's the way it's turning out. Spencer, but a goal would relax them. Stevens. Now Spackman. The ball bypassed. As Rangers keep the ball in this area, Spencer and Johnston moving around up front to try and make the pass possible, and David Robertson as well. Unsuccessfully, but he's shown plenty of imagination from left back already. And very nearly contributed an opening goal, and would have done but for Andy Murdoch's fine save. Well, it may only be 14,000, but it sounds like 40,000. This Glasgow derby in the context of the third round of the Skull Cup. No foul by Halstra. Partick Thistle stopped expecting the whistle, but only for a moment. Robertson. Here's Shaw. Robertson again. There's no offside against McGlashan, and it's led to a Partick Thistle throw. There was a thoughtful ball to McGlashan from Barningham, and Rangers were just guilty of ball watching for a moment, doing this diminutive forward take up a position which was threatening. It's 0-0. There are 12 minutes to go to half-time. There has to be a result tonight, even if it involves extra time, even if it involves penalties. Here's Spencer. Coughlin couldn't prevent the shot, but he's a confident young man, John Spencer.
He's full of spirit, Spencer, and every chance he gets a shot in at goal. That's the way that strikers get their goals, you know, taking a chance and just taking it on.
I like his attitude, Simon. He was quoted in the press up here as being asked about what it's like to play with the big names. He said the only big name we've got is Mikhailichenko.
No, he's a very sharp, very bubbly character, and he's doing very well so far in this game.
Halstra showing that Rangers have come here to scrap it out, to earn the right to impose their quality. But they have that, it's without question. But Partick at the moment preventing the showing of it. So that's Durant for Stevens, and Mo Johnston, 1-0 Rangers. He's come back to his first club with a goal, and on that occasion the class did shine through.
The pass through from Durant was absolutely superb. Great cutback from Gary Stevens, and the finish from Johnston, perfect. Tremendous goal from Rangers. Super goal.
And Ian Durant at the heart of it, with the pass that Gary Stevens met first time. So too did Johnston, and the sheer speed of the move, bringing Mo his 8th goal of the season and preventing Partick finding a solution. And the only consolation for the home side is that they're a goal down to a very well-worked move, rounded off by a striker that they brought into the game themselves. Yes, their first away goal this season. It's only their second match, having lost 1-0 to Hearts. And having found a real festival of goals at Ibrox, 18 in the 4 wins there without reply. And Walter Smith will be more relaxed now, marginally. Goal. They believe that Gary Stevens should be the regular England right back. Of course, Lee Dixon has been the player in possession. Gary's had a fine international career, 42 appearances for his country, but I'm sure the message will be reaching Graham Taylor that the player on the ball here has made an outstanding start to this particular season. And how well he delivered the chance that Johnston took. Backman. Partick Thistle really will just have to ride the blow and maintain their level of commitment. They would have been reasonably pleased with the way they were performing up to that point. Halstra. Here's Robertson. Ray decisive. Came off the head of Mo Johnston. And an offside given against David Robertson. George Smith was the referee who represented Scotland in the 1990 World Cup finals in Italy. Walter beaten by Nisbet. Nisbet again. The next round of the competition, the quarter-finals, played next week. We'll have a match live for you on Sky Sports. Then there will be the semi-final at the end of September, the final on the last Sunday in October. I do think that's an excellent format, which they could copy in England, where the League Cup gets mixed up with the FA Cup and loses some of its identity. The two finals in England very close to each other at Wembley towards the end of the season. All credit to the administration in Scottish football. Stevens. Now Nisbet. Rangers leading by a Mo Johnston goal. A goal very much delivered in his predatory style. Here's Farningham. He was aiming for McGlashan, who had to time his run to try and stay onside. He's done that, but the ball didn't get past goal. Shaw. Simon, how much of a blow do you think that will be to Thistle's morale to lose a goal, even though it was one that you could excuse conceding?
Well, obviously it's a blow, but I mean, they were doing pretty well up till then. You know, they were competing quite equally with Rangers, and I think they've got to keep battling away and just see if they can. If they carry on playing, then they get a chance, and it's just taking that chance when it comes along.
McGlashan complaining about a free kick given against him. He is one of those smaller strikers that the tall centre-backs find almost like an insect buzzing around them. They don't collide shoulder to shoulder, and the challenges often look untidy. On that occasion it looked untidy against McGlashan. Irons not getting much change out of Stevens. Here's Spencer. John Spencer again, if that's a failing, it's overconfidence really. He's conceded a throw, but I'm sure it won't mean his chin will go on his chest. Nicely done by Nisbet. Only Spencer up with him, which is why he really had to check. And the Rangers can afford to do that in this position. Stevens. Across from Durrant, and I think Spatman will be disappointed then that Johnston wasn't in the penalty area. He was rather admiring the cross rather than hunting another goal. McCall. Rangers limbering up both of their substitutes, Ian Ferguson and Ali McCoy. And Duffy going for that. Murdoch gets there in the end, but not decisively. And there was confusion on a couple of occasions between the player coach and the goalkeeper then. And Rangers very nearly cashed in. They have a corner.
The confusion in defence there again, and Spencer's so quick to get onto the ball. I mean, he really is a little whippet in there.
And that is Murdoch's ball. It was delivered from the far side with plenty of pace by Ian Durrant. Just at the moment the midfield players have stopped making the runs to support McWalter and McGlashan. They were doing that well in the earlier phases of the game. The two front men for Partick Thistle momentarily, they hope, feeling a bit isolated with a couple of minutes to go to half-time. Goff. Spencer making up ground on Duffy. And John Spencer with an overshow of enthusiasm more than anything of a malicious nature.
All the time Spencer's trying to put defenders under pressure. He's very, very sharp and very aggressive with it. I like him. He's a good player.
You can understand Duffy's reaction also, though, having had that career-finishing injury, or so it seemed. Determined defending by Graham Robertson, roundly applauded not just by the supporters but by his colleagues. Duffy. Now McLaughlin. McGlashan showing for the ball, played just like that. It's a Partick Thistle throw, or is it? No. Well, Rangers, without needing too much in the way of athleticism from Andy Gorham. Just a couple of fairly straightforward saves early in the half. Rangers drew some of the sting out of Partick Thistle over the opening half an hour, and then dropped themselves. Here's McLaughlin. We're into stoppage time at the end of the first 45. Again, confident defending from Graham Robertson, one of a number of players who came here from Dunfermline. Gary Stevens, who is so quick when he needs to pull out that extra speed, easily winning that little sprint with McGlashan. George Smith has another look at the watch. Shaw. Dragging aside Houstra. Well, Partick Thistle might be running out of time before half-time. They have the throw. But there's not time to take it. Well, there have been thrills at Firhill, but not the sort that Partick Thistle fans really wanted. They've certainly seen their team give a good account of themselves, but it's their former favourite, Mo Johnston, who scored the only goal of the half. Really taking a liking to this competition, adding to the 4 that he got last week at the expense of Queen's Park. And Rangers, in difficult circumstances here, will be pleased, I think, with the...
on the left.
Pitch. Oh, it was superb play.
Partick Thistle start the second half, a goal down. Durant, every game is another bridge built on the road to full recovery. Durant just waiting for Gough to arrive, but Duffy dealt with it. Gary Stevens, I think, wanted to let the ball run and then realised that it wouldn't. Free header for Gordon Ray, had so many good years with Hibernian. Irons. Understanding with Farningham, came from their previous club. Well, David Livingston has been talking to John Lambie, the Partick Thistle manager. David, what's the view from the Partick camp?
Martin, I've just talked to John Lambie. He says he was a very angry man at half-time in the dressing room. He said they lost the goal by ball watching. He's told his players there's only one goal in it, they have to attack, and if there's not an improvement quickly, he'll be making changes.
Well, he's a manager who doesn't mince his words. He had some strong things to say after the win here on Saturday against Stirling Albion, when a substitute, Isaac English, who's one of the 2 substitutes tonight, came on and got a crucial goal. Maybe he is the young man for this occasion, 19-year-old. And it's a free kick to Partick Thistle here. Shaw, Robertson's cross. And Andy Gorham wasn't distracted. Got a good pair of hands, of course, because he's a double international Scotland cricketer as well as a Scotland goalkeeper. But the secondary sport has to, I'm afraid, now go to the back burner because Rangers have banned him playing cricket. They want to protect their expensive investment, understandably. Wide from McCall to David Robertson, well forward as he was so often in the first half. Johnston. McCall, who's so good at winning the ball back. And Durant couldn't quite reach it. And Irons gets the better of Stevens. A chance for a Partick Thistle counter-attack here. McGlashan, a lovely turn past Nisbet. Here's Mark McWalter. Can he line it up? He can do! And Andy Gorham, really at full stretch. It was the fingertips that forced the ball outside the post rather than, as Mark McWalter hoped, inside it.
Great break again from Partick Thistle here. McWalter very unlucky not to score. Good save from Gorham.
That really was the moment of greatest menace to the Rangers' goals so far. Stevens steers the corner away. Retrieved by Graham Robertson, skillfully. Oh, and well, Sammy Johnston was coming in then. Gorham realised he wasn't going to reach it. But Mark McWalter, who found time there at the end of a flowing Partick Thistle piece of football to really line up the shot and take aim for the far corner, only to find Gorham really flinging himself to his left. Here's Halstra. The one thing Partick cannot afford is to concede a second goal. The Rangers might feel it's on the cards here. McCall, and Stevens is offside. So a pulsating start to a hugely enjoyable cup tie, pulsating start to the second half. Three up for Partick Thistle. Spackman. Very much in the engine room for Rangers. Nisbet. Here's Durant. Sort of mobility from McGlashan that made the chance for McWalter a moment or two ago. And Partick Thistle doing their best to respond to the lambasting they got from John Lambie at half-time. Spencer skipping out of the way of Ray, wisely. Durant trying to drill the ball at John Spencer, and he's gone offside. Stevens. Johnston. McCall wanted to come onto it and maybe stride on to fire a shot at goal himself. Here's George Shaw. McWalter. Farningham. And now Sammy Johnston. McLaughlin almost within range for his feared left foot, which he uses to deliver the cross, and Andy Gorham not only claims it quickly but uses it quickly as well, not quite as accurately as he would have hoped. Shaw has found Robertson a very difficult opponent. Crowd of 12,500. McGlashan, neat and tidy again. McLaughlin. And Durant given a sight of the ball then. But the throw has gone Partick's way. McLaughlin, while it's 1-0, the margin of Rangers' current lead, Partick will still feel there's plenty left in this match for them. Some shirt tugging by Irons. Simon, it does feel like a key phase of the game, this, if Partick can break through.
Well, Partick have started the same way they started the first half. You know, you often do that when you come out from the dressing room. Rangers are weathering it. I'm sure that Rangers will build on this and maybe go up there and get another goal soon.
But having said that, certainly Gorham's had to make his most difficult save.
Well, yes.
Nisbet. They'll rely on Duffy so much. Through Partick Thistle defensively. Irons. Off goes McWalter. Goff's in control. I remember when Andy Gorham came into football in England, the feeling was that he was on the short side. Well, that hasn't been a major handicap for him, and his frame has certainly got a natural spring, as we saw in that save. His father, of course, was a professional goalkeeper as well, so it's certainly in the blood. Spencer, now Johnston, Spackman, McCall, Duffy blocked it, and Spackman couldn't contrive a pass of any penetration then. Duffy. Durant spraying the ball wide from the free kick to Robertson. Oh, it's a fine try! Oh! David Robertson can scarcely believe it. And Andy Murdoch, who played so well, seemed to be rooted to the spot though. Whether he didn't see it, only he can tell us. On his right foot.
It's a tremendous strike, Martin. Tremendous finish from a fullback.
And in keeping with the attacking play that David Robertson has been offering really right from the first whistle. And it came past a couple of players and was hit so well. So although Murdoch had only a yard or so to move to cover his near post, he couldn't do it. A first goal for Rangers, and one that he'll never forget. Nisbet. And Simon Stainrod gets the award for the best prediction of the night, saying Rangers would go upfield and score again. They've done just that, but even you, Simon, I don't think would have expected it to come that way.
Well, that was a tremendous goal. One he can really be proud of. Super finish.
McCall having trouble with the pitch. Is short. So the goal coming 10 minutes into the second half. Partick Thistle 0, Rangers 2. And even before David Robertson struck, Ian Ferguson was getting ready to come on. There is an old firm game on Saturdays. I'm sure you don't need any reminding of that. And possibly with that in mind, Gary Stevens goes off. Now this will necessitate a certain amount of reshuffling. It looks as though Scott Nisbet is going to right back. Nigel Spackman is going to play in the centre of defence alongside Richard Goff, and Ferguson will play in his preferred position of midfield. Here goes McWalter. Graham Robertson's cross. David Irons trying to reach it. McLaughlin. Irons caught slightly wrong-footed, but he made light of that against McCall. He got back, played the ball, no foul. The angle of the challenge that upset the Partick Thistle supporters. The ball, ruled the referee, was played cleanly enough. Ferguson anxious to be part of the plot here straight away. Spackman no stranger to this particular job, and Rangers have the 2-goal cushion to give him a reasonably relaxing position to take up. Shaw. Now Spackman. Here's Johnston. Well, Scott Nisbet is at right back, and news of Gary Stevens comes from the touchline with David Livingston.
Martin, Gary Stevens has something wrong with his left foot. He's taken his boot off, and obviously as a precautionary measure with the Old Firm match coming up on Saturday, they've taken him off, and they have some ice down there which they're going to apply to that foot.
Well, he doesn't look too concerned about it, or maybe Ali McCoist told him one of his legendary jokes. McCoist, of course, bursting to be part of this match as well. Came on and scored as a substitute against Dunfermline on Saturday, and also got a goal in a reserve match on Monday night. The touch hasn't deserted him. Johnston maybe got a call from Durant, but he didn't seem to be on that particular track. Johnson again. And once more, it's David Robertson. Spencer is the one for him. Well, he can console himself that he keeps getting into the scoring positions.
Oh, it's a great ball again, over the top from Johnston. Robertson on the run, cuts the ball back to Spencer. And Spencer, I think he should have driven this. He tried to curl it in the far corner. Should have hit it.
Barningham and Johnston combining in midfield. Duffy. Offside. Simon, you've been quietly purring here about David Robertson's performance, and it was another bold break from him again.
Yeah, he's a class player. I think that Rangers were a bit upset at the tribunals who they had to pay for him to Aberdeen. On tonight's performance and on Saturday's performance, he looks worth every penny and more. You know, he's a class player.
Well, here's another youngster. It's Isaac English replacing Mark McWalter. English, as I said earlier, came from the bench and scored the winner here on Saturday in the First Division fixture against Stirling Albion. So he will partner McGlashan up front. Goff. We're 17 minutes into the second half at Firhill. Partick Thistle 0. Rangers 2, goals from Mo Johnston and David Robertson. Each in their own way spectacular. And but for Murdoch, Spencer would have had a third.
Good ball in from Ferguson to feet to Spencer, and a great turn and a great shot. Good save as well. It's quality football.
produced this corner for Rangers. Halstra trying to make the best possible angle for himself, but it's a goal kick. Johnston. Sure, hasn't had too much chance to get forward and show his own attacking capabilities on the right for Partick Thistle. He's been chasing David Robertson for much of the match. Spack, McCall. Rangers certainly going to need their full pool of players over this long and demanding season. So many extra league games, real hopes for the European Cup, the domestic cup competitions as well, and so many of them will obviously be called upon for international matches also. Here's Isaac English into the game really for the first time, and finding out all about the tenacity of McCall. Partick Thistle have lost a bit of their shape at the moment. Ferguson Johnston's offside. The home players have put so much into their difficult task tonight, and understandably Rangers, having ridden the storm, are in a position here to capitalise on the gaps that will probably open up. Partick Thistle 0, Rangers 2, 20 minutes played in the second half at Firhill. Spackman turning it over Graham Robertson's head, and the conditions very nearly helping Rangers again, in that the ball on most pitches wouldn't have held up for Halstra to have an earthly chance of getting it, but he very nearly kept the ball in play. Goff. Here's McGlashan. Now McLaughlin. Jim Lambie feels that the Partick Thistle fans haven't seen his team play to full potential at all yet this season. Their best moments of the match here have produced a goal to stretch Rangers, who have Halstra nimbly creating another chance, almost doing that. It's a corner.
I think Halstra's starting to really come onto his game now, and he's enjoying this game. If he cut this back to Johnston, I'm sure Johnston would have scored.
So it's a corner. Richard Goff waits on the edge of the area. And the ball's come all the way across to who else but David Robertson. In goes Goff, and Johnston, and it's another corner.
Good effort from Goff. He leaps like a gazelle there to get that one back on goal.
He stayed forward. And you do feel that Rangers could pick off another one here. Spencer forced to it. It's, Robertson again, staying on the right here. He's got the taste. And Partick Thistle at the moment penned into their own penalty area. And goes Goff. Very clean contact this time. Volleyed away by Duffy. Laid off well by English. Shaw looking to unsettle Ferguson, but unsuccessful. And Rangers really in a position now to put on something of an exhibition, but they've worked hard for the right to do that. For half an hour, it was a difficult cup tie. And Johnston struck, and the second goal from David Robertson has really confirmed the superiority. Spencer. Duffy hitting Spencer. I think that the ball was going to run. It would have been a corner if it had done, and he knew what he was doing, Jim Duffy. Not for the first time tonight. Farningham. And Gorham glad of the activity. Ray Farningham 3 or 4 times tonight has challenged Andy Gorham.
It's a fair effort from Farningham, but Gorham's never in trouble really.
Astra wins it back. Irons. Graham Robertson. Here's English against Spackman. And the goal kick. Just fleeting hope there for Partick Thistle that the officials, linesman and referee might agree on a possible penalty here, but English was happy to go down.
Looks a goal kick to me, that.
You'd have been appealing if you'd have been Isaac English.
I would have got a penalty for that.
This might be a good time for Ali McCoist to come on with 20 minutes to go and the opportunity to catch Partick Thistle when they're tiring. Or are they tiring? Maybe they're not. All the vigilance of McCall there. Farningham have made another intelligent break. What does impress me, Simon, you talked about the fiery nature of Scottish football, and there's plenty of that, of course, but Walter Smith has put his faith in skill in this particular lineup.
Well, if you look at the front three, you've got to play the ball up to feet, haven't you? And that's what they rely on. And they work very hard to make the space and to get the ball into feet and support from midfield. They're a very, very good side. They remind me of a Liverpool machine in many ways.
English is away. He hasn't got much help up with him. And Goff needed all his know-how there. As Isaac English darted in behind him, Goff complaining he wasn't told about the danger. And Partick really with nothing to lose in this position now. They've just got to gamble and hope that they might get one goal back and prey then on any Rangers' nerves. Ferguson wanting a bit too much time, but he dealt with it in the end. Spencer losing out. Here's Irons. Plenty of players forward for Partick here, and Irons takes them all on, and Gorham's out quickly. English has got a goal that looked unattended. Now who stopped that with what? Gorham taking issue with McGlashan. Caused the problem.
break from Davy Irons there, bursting through. Goran brave as a lion, and then second time, fantastic reflex save.
The first save at the feet of McGlashan was what Goran was angry about, feeling that the studs were shown. McGlashan surely entitled to go for the ball in those circumstances.
Well, as a striker, Martin, I think you should go for it. Goalkeepers are too soft these days.
But Andy Goram was hard enough to get up and block the follow-up from Isaac English. And once the danger was over, the finger wagging was directed at Colin McGlashan. We've got a sight of the number 14 of Rangers on the far side. Alan McCoist is ready and laughing and joking, as you'd expect, but he's got to sit down for the moment. Goff. Possibly a little bit of complacency creeping into the Rangers game. Feeling that they've done the hard work, but it's still 16 minutes to go. Irons, who certainly wasn't settling for defeat with that burst that he made, that very nearly brought a breakthrough for Partick. Hubbub came from the crowd and not any appealing players. English has given a different dimension here. There's a dive by Johnston, Sammy Johnston. George Smith was having nothing to do with it whatsoever. Substitute's doing well, Simon.
Yeah, substitute's got a bit of pace, and he certainly puts the backs under pressure. I think the referee's probably right on that occasion.
Oh, Walter Smith feeling that his team have just taken their foot off the accelerator. And Partick playing with bags of pride here. Whatever happens in terms of the results, they want a performance to act as an impetus over the league programme as well. That'll certainly be a team you'd look at as promotion candidates, as they were last season, before losing out to Falkirk and Airdrie. Well played. Here's English. McGlashan tearing into the centre. Isaac English goes on. Here's McGlashan. And it's English! Oh, and it was a shot, obviously, but it skewed away and could have provided a chance for George Shaw, who's retrieved the ball on the far side and earned Partick Thistle, persistent Partick Thistle, a corner. Rangers looking more vulnerable than at any other time in the game. Gordon Ray is there. And he gets to it. And he'll be a little disappointed with the outcome. Spencer. Here's Johnston. Houstra wants it over the top, but he kept going forward, Peter Houstra, and dictated where Ray Johnston had to play it, really. There was no checking out to get a simple ball to feet. Simon, do you see Partick Thistle as realistic promotion challengers here?
I think they've got to be one of the top 3 promotion challengers, along with Dundee and...
Hang on a minute. We haven't written them off in the Skull Cup yet. And they have pressurised and chased and harassed, and Rangers at the moment are finding it hard going. Sammy Johnston by simple, honest endeavour and hard graft, almost sporting a chance for himself then. Partick Thistle, I should tell you, are full-time, of course part-time teams in their division. And physically, they're going the distance well. And football-wise too. Irons, McLaughlin. Well, I know John Lambie pondered long and hard about whether to use Isaac English from the start tonight. And he might have wished that he had done with the impact that English's speed has brought. And Gorham has to fist it away from Johnston again. Here's Mo Johnston, Ferguson, now Nisbet. Walter Smith has had Ali McCoist ready for action for a good few minutes now. There's still no sign of the substitution actually being completed. Ten minutes to go. That's a foul on Ferguson.
I think Walter Smith, Martin, was thinking Rangers were going to stroll through the last 20 minutes of this game, and in fact things have turned right round. Partick have taken over now for the last 10 minutes. They've done brilliantly, and they're probably worth a goal at the moment.
I think one or two of his players thought they were in for a stroll as well, and the real meat of the match has returned. And you're quite right. I mean, they've given Rangers some heart-stopping moments, but it's still Partick Thistle 0, Rangers 2, and here comes Ali McCoist. Ian Durant is the player going off. The Rangers fans aren't too happy about that. I don't think it's any great reflection on Durant's performance. He's had some memorable moments in the game, particularly in creating the first goal. But as I've said a couple of times tonight, Ian Durant still isn't exactly 100%. So McCoist is on, and Mo Johnston finds himself a midfield player for the remainder of the game. Midfield player might have handled that, but Mo got away with it. George Smith saw it from the opposite view to the supporters in front of us. Nisbet, Duffy in the way. Glanced on by McGlashan, and English tried to get it back to him. Rangers now happy to use up the time when they can. We're down to the last 8 minutes. McCoist drawing the foul. Well, what will Rangers come up with here? Ferguson finds Houstra. Spencer's in the centre. McCoist is there as well. So is Nisbet. There's a goal kick. Andy Murdoch scampering to take the goal kick. Johnston. McCoist took that well. Spencer up with him. McCoist looks to add another to his considerable tally.
McCoist takes this well, and he looks up, sees a chance in the top corner, and goes for it all the time. Bad luck with the finish.
And down goes Johnston. Rangers' nerves could still jangle here if Partick Thistle produce a goal from this position. Sammy Johnston has been a real handful for them in this phase of the game. Well, they might look for McLaughlin to the left of the wall here. McCoist has seen it and read it very well. Ali McCoist knew what was coming, almost better than Partick Thistle themselves. He's seen McLaughlin play before. And he was trying to loiter unnoticed in a position where the free kick could be rolled onto his left foot. But he was noticed by Ali McCoist. Good work from McGlashan. And it's just knocked away from Sammy Johnston. Alstra using his confidence and composure to help the defending. Ferguson. Ian Ferguson would love to have a run back in the Rangers side now. He's had the handicap of illness and injury since being signed from St Mirren, where of course he put his name in the Scottish Cup history books with the winner at Hampden against Dundee United. McGlashan. Here's Duffy, waving his teammates forward. The Rangers a bit slow to come out and get to him, but they got to Farningham, and McCoist looking as fresh as he should be. Here's Ali McCoist, and that's McCall. It was a ball played just into the right area.
Good skill here and great awareness with the chip to the far post. Very unlucky. Johnston coming in on the ball, I think, there.
More fuel for the fans who want him back in the starting lineup. But Ali McCoist has a chatterbox, but keeps his mouth shut when it matters, when the manager makes his decisions and gets on with the job. Over Johnston. That's handball, is it, by David Robertson? There's an offside in any case. Well, Partick Thistle may not win the match tonight, but they have won the individual honours. Man of the match from the sponsors goes to Jim Duffy. He's just heard the news himself, announced over the public address here at Firhill. Three minutes to go. Well, I said earlier that it might be relaxing for Nigel Spackman to drop into the back line. How wrong can you be? He's had a very testing time. But that spell of pressure didn't produce the goal that could have really ruffled Rangers. It did show us that Partick Thistle have got plenty of character and no little skill. And they're well worth keeping an eye on in the Scottish First Division over the remainder of the season. Halstrom. could have ricocheted anywhere. In fact, it's come back to Houstra again. Peter Houstra is an excellent example to his British colleagues for application and playing the full 90 minutes. Spencer. Nice slip from Spackman, despite the pressure applied by Isaac English. Spencer. Another chance for Houstra to impress. It's a corner. At £300,000 from Twente Enschede in Holland. He looks good value for money, Simon.
Very good value. I mean, he's worked away all night. He's got great skill. He puts tremendous crosses in the box. You know, as a winger and a midfield player, I don't know what more you could ask for.
He is in charge of this corner as well. Nisbet. Good awareness from Ferguson. A lot of Rangers players in the centre. Maybe one last shot in the Rangers locker. Nisbet. The 90 minutes are up. Partick Thistle can go off with their heads held high, but they're going out of the Skull Cup. Duffy taking the free kick and trying to tell the referee that they should have another crack at it, but Flashen was wrong-footed and it is a Rangers throw. Simon Stainrod, have you enjoyed the night and your final thoughts on it? Tremendous game of football, great spirit from Partick Thistle. I think if they could play and maintain this spirit, then they look good for the First Division Championship. But Rangers, really a class above them. They've got the athleticism, they've got all the skill, players who score goals, and I think, you know, the Premier League shudders when they think about this team. They really are that much better than the rest, I think. Quite a compliment. Ferguson, still Thistle, as they were right at the first whistle. Tenacious in their tackling. But George Smith is about to bring a halt, and Rangers, the Skull Cup specialists, are through to the quarter-finals. Their second goal, the first in Rangers colours for David Robertson, who had a splendid match, to add to Mo Johnston's opener, getting the better of a defence, soundly marshalled for the most part by Jim Duffy, who showed again what a fine performer he is and how good it is to see that he's overcome those injury problems of the past. Partick will tell you that their priorities lie in winning that promotion that Simon Stainrod was talking about to the Premier Division, and at Firhill they've done themselves justice, but it hasn't been enough. Coming up after the break, we'll have more goals for you from last night's affair at Parkhead, when Wraith Rovers